the Wolf's Serpents. The convoy and its escort sailed quietly through the void of space. Few conversations took place among the ship's crews. Most minds focused on the poor state of the war their nation was now embroiled in. When the Peniolochian hegemony had declared war on the Croaxian Reich, everyone had thought it would be a quick war. After all, a single nation from a divided species never could stand up to the might of a united species. That was 8 months ago. The front line has long since stalled. Both sides constantly took and retook systems, but neither side gained ground. The problem the hegemony faced now was a lack of supplies for the front line. They were only prepared for a few months of combat at most, and it was because of this shortage that the ragtag group of conscripted traders were now making the long journey to the front. The escort fleet surrounding them now claimed to be there in order to protect them from pirates, but Weknor had his suspicions. After all, a few frigates would have been enough to ward off any pirates in this sector and keep the merchants in line, but they had sent not only a full squadron of frigates but also 2 escort destroyers. It's likely they are expecting some company. He absent-mindedly watched as the convoy sailed into an asteroid field. As he was daydreaming, staring out the porthole, a glimmer in the void caught his eye, dragging him back to reality. It was gone as soon as it appeared. Shrugging it off as either his imagination or a bit of space dust, he started down the hallway towards the cargo hold. Entering, he quickly checked that all crates remained secured and undamaged. After all, any damage could cause the supplies to spoil during the trip. As he was about to leave, the alarms started blaring. Weknor quickly rushed to the bridge and took his seat. Looking at the captain, he asked, "What happened?" "One of the escort ships took a hit. We're still trying to figure out by what and from where." "Could it be the Axes?" Weknor asked while checking the radar. "I doubt it. We're still quite a ways from the front line. It might be some very ballsy pirates hiding in the belt, and if that's the case, this'll be over soon." Even the captain himself didn't seem satisfied with that explanation. "Sounds like you think it might be something else, Captain." The captain was silent for a moment, his face briefly twisting into a strange expression before returning to normal. Was that fear? The captain hesitated for a moment, contemplating whether or not to voice his worries. "You've heard the rumors, right, Weknor? About those supposed Imperial stealth ships, right?" "Yeah. Even if the Axes have those, the idea sounds expensive. They probably wouldn't have too many. It would make more sense for them to target larger convoys. You may be right. Anything on radar yet?" The captain, quickly returning to the matter at hand. "Not yet." Just then, the radar picked up a blip. Something just appeared on the port side. The bridge crew looked over just in time to see a torpedo streak towards one destroyer, hitting an engine, crippling it. Another escort ship was just hit. With one destroyer limping and the other leaking atmosphere, the convoy slowed to a crawl in order to prevent it from falling behind. After another long minute, another torpedo appeared and hit the leaking destroyer's bridge. The ship fell silent and drifted away from the convoy. Life pods launched from the damaged vessel. Where could they be attacking from? Weknor wondered to himself. Each time the torpedoes just appeared, leaving no trace of the enemy ships. It must be those stealth ships. But why are they here? We only have a few small merchant ships. As he stared at the radar, 2 more torpedoes appeared from opposite sides of the fleet, each striking a frigate. Within minutes, all but one frigate had been destroyed. The last remaining frigate began offering surrender over all channels. Soon after, another torpedo came soaring out of the abyss and into the frigate's engines, crippling but not sinking the ship. Everyone in the convoy sat in stunned silence, waiting for whatever happened next. Then, after what felt like ages, the convoy received a message. Everyone on the bridge turned towards the comms officer. After a few moments of silence, the captain impatiently asked, "Well, what does it say?" The comms officer swallowed as he read the message. It says, "The Croaxian Reich accepts your surrender. Lay down your arms and prepare to be boarded." So it was the Imperials. Both the captain and Weknor mutter simultaneously. Just then, the radar pinged again, dragging everyone's attention to it and Weknor. "Captain, a ship just appeared on radar. It's..." The words caught in his throat as he saw the ping. He took a deep breath, regained his composure, and then said, "It's to the port of the ship 400 meters away." As the crew slowly turned to the port side, a dark, gray, almost black silhouette was visible, floating in the void of space. It was long and thin, about the length of a large corvette at roughly under 200 meters. It had a short conning tower about midway through it. The tower featured 2-point defense turrets on each side, and a single railgun, aimed at the fleet, was visible on the front. Time seemed to come to a standstill as the ship slowly approached. It pulled up next to their merchant ship, and at this distance Weknor could clearly see the icon of the Empire, a Gaian predator called a wolf. A different icon rested on the ship's bow, a long, thin, limbless animal with 2 large fangs, poised to strike its prey. Next to the icon, white letters read U124. As he looked over the strange vessel once more, he gulped as he noticed the symbol of the Peniolokian Navy painted on the conning tower with X53 written next to it. Around it were the symbols of other alien navies, and even some human ones, each one having an X and a number next to it. As the ship docked and the canal opened, a squad of armed Croaxian soldiers quickly cleared the hallway, startling both the captain and Weknor. After they deemed it safe, a smartly dressed Croaxian officer stepped aboard and asked to be taken to the cargo bay. There, they took what they needed, left enough supplies for the convoy to return home, and destroyed the rest before returning to their ship and undocking. The whole affair took no longer than an hour. Upon returning to the bridge, they noticed 3 more of these U-ships had appeared and were performing similar actions. As one of them approached the last merchant ship, one of the ship's superstructures fired at the Imperial vessel, the fleet's Q-ship revealing itself. The projectile missed the ship, and before it could fire another, the Imperial's railgun tore through the weapon, destroying it. Then another 2 torpedoes appeared from nowhere and slammed into the armed ship, sinking it. Soon after, the convoy received another message. There will be no more warnings. The crew sat in silent awe at the quick response as the ships drifted away from the convoy. Weknor watched as they left, expecting to see some kind of stealth field envelop the ship. Instead, each ship expertly maneuvered behind a large piece of wreckage or asteroid and simply dropped off the radar, never emerging. A few decades later, long after he had retired, a documentary found its way to Weknor. The documentary focused on humanity's strange, unclassifiable ships. As he absent-mindedly listened to the video in the background while he relaxed, one section caught his eye. This section covered the Croaxian Reich. All standard affairs: a stealth missile boat that never saw service, a planet cracker dreadnought that was never finished, even a mobile battle moon reminiscent of the great Banneroni star empires before it was destroyed that never left the drawing board. Then came a familiar sight, its long dark gray hull and single railgun unforgettable. The numbers alone shocked him. The Reich had built hundreds of them, thousands if you counted all its predecessor and successor classes. More importantly, he now had a name for the phantom that hunted him, the dimensional U-boat. Offer's name and the links to the original text in the description. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay with us.